that 49ers offense with Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, and an offensive line that buys Brock Purdy enough time to distribute the ball, and how he's managed to play unaffected by being thrust into this machine that just keeps rolling, just keeps winning, just keeps going. I've said for weeks now, as long as they keep that nucleus of key players healthy, no one is going to beat them, including the Dallas Cowboys, even with Micah Parsons and the other great defensive players that they have.
Yeah, it's amazing, Mike, because you talked about how the first of the year sometimes doesn't matter, and I think that was the case. You think about all the quarterbacks the 49ers have gone through to get to this point. They lost to the Bears early in the season, and you're thinking, man, this team's horrible. Then they go make the trade for Christian McCaffrey, and now they have all these parts, and you're looking at this team going, how in the world are we going to stop this offense? Even with a rookie quarterback, we're not even talking about, hey, rookie quarterbacks have never done this, never done that. He's 6-0. We've kind of shifted that conversation to this team's so good that it doesn't matter that he's a rookie quarterback, and he's shown that, and he's just been so good with this offense. I don't think he would be this good with the Bears offense or some other offenses in the NFL, but he's doing great with this offense, Mike, and so we're not even thinking of him as a rookie quarterback anymore.
No, we aren't, and we never really have. Once he showed the ability to hold it together when he was thrust into service in the first quarter of the game against the Dolphins, there were not many questions about Brock Purdy. And, last week, a few shaky throws early in the rain against the Seahawks. He settled down and he kept it going. And it's easy to do when it's not all on you, when you don't have to go out and try to win the game with your legs, with your arm, with a big play in a big spot. But he can run, he can throw, he can do a lot. But when you've got that defense especially and those weapons on offense, it becomes a lot easier to get it done and to win football games. So the Cowboys will win this game if they what, Shireen?
I think if they get after Brock Purdy and rattle him. We haven't seen him rattled, Mike, and I think that's going to be the key, is to get him, hit him early, hit him often. He's been really good at not turning the ball over. He's only had 2 games this year since he's been the starter that he's turned it over in the 6 games now. So to at least 2 touchdowns in 7 consecutive games for him. So you've got to get after him, pressure him. I don't know that we've seen that from anybody they've faced. The Cowboys can do that. The Cowboys have the players who can get to the quarterback, who can sack the quarterback, who can hit the quarterback. And I think that's what it's going to take for them, is to really get after him early.
I think the Cowboys win if Dak Prescott plays like he did on Monday night. And I know that was one of the best games of his career, but that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to require to go into Santa Clara and beat this 49ers team. Great, Dak. Hey, you may have wasted the best game of your career on a night when you didn't really need it, because they probably would have beaten the Buccaneers easily, even if Dak wasn't as spectacular as he was. So we'll see if he can string 2 together. I hope he does. But that's a tall test against a much better defense than the one that they just faced. And it requires a running game to take some of the heat off the passing game so Dak can do what he's capable of doing. I mean, he had that easy touchdown roll into the end zone on the bootleg because they take the running game seriously and they focused. They went all in on the handoff on the inside, and it busted it open for Dak to run around the edge. That's the kind of stuff that you need. A full effort by the offense, allowing Dak Prescott to have the game that he had last week. It would also help to make your kicks. Brett Maher was perfect on his kicks Thursday in practice, going 6 for 6. Shouldn't he be kicking more than 6 times? Don't you need more than 6 during practice to wipe away the stench of what happened on Monday night? I would be having him kick and kick and kick and kick. And Shireen, I said these the other day, and I was 100% serious. Yep. He should be at all times kicking amid the deafening roar of his last name being chanted in unison by 70,000 people, because I guarantee you that's what he's going to hear on Sunday. Those 49ers fans know. They're smart. They understand. They're going to be inside his head. They're going to be chanting, Maher, Maher. I hope they've subjected him to that, because he's going to be subjected to it on Sunday night.
He sure is, Mike, and I think it's going to be important for him to make his kicks this week. It didn't matter last week. And you go back and you think about how few plays decide a game. You think about you talked about those touchdowns, 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, including the one you alluded to when Dak did the bootleg around the corner and there's nobody there except Dalton Schultz to block for him, who had no one to block. So I had 2 fourth down. They had 2 fourth down touchdowns. Tom Brady threw an interception trying to throw the ball away. And you think if those plays had gone differently, this would have been a closer game and those extra points would have mattered. But as it turned out, they didn't. But in this game, you figure that extra points are going to matter. And field goals, if he has to kick those, are going to matter. So absolutely, he's got to be better than he was in a big part of this game. Because if you're missing kicks, Mike, in this game, Cowboys aren't going to win this game.
Well, no, and when you miss your first 4 extra points and the game's 24-0 instead of 25, 6, 7, or 8, what happens? It's a 3-score game.
Yeah.
And I felt like the door remained open for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it wasn't until they scored a touchdown and didn't get the 2-point conversion that I thought maybe this is too much to expect the Buccaneers to do. But 8-8 is 24. That would have been a huge mess for the Cowboys if they had lost that game simply because Brett Maher couldn't make the extra points. And it is going to be in his head. It's unavoidable. And the 49ers fans are going to do everything they can to be in his head when it's time for him to go kick. So, look, we talked about what the Cowboys need to do to win. Let's flip it over to the 49ers. They will win this game if they what, Shireen?
I think if their defense plays as they've played all season, if Nick Bosa is Nick Bosa, I think we all expect him to be Defensive Player of the Year. He was PFT's pick as Defensive Player of the Year. We know how violent this defense is, how good they are. We've seen it all year long, and we know the record when teams play them the week after, they don't win. So the team that if the Cowboys beat them, they may not win next week, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to beat the 49ers because I think their defense is going to play as good as they've played all season. And if they do, they will win this game.
You know, you mentioned Nick Bosa being our Defensive Player of the Year. Not that anybody cares, but we have started a tradition where the Coach of the Year gets something more than satisfaction, all because Mike Vrabel asked for something. One thing led to another, and we sent him a ham. Brian Daboll got a box of cigars. I don't know. Maybe we should be offering something like something of I got to be careful. You never know what they're going to choose. Could be something that we can't fit into the budget. But you have me feeling guilty that we only give the Coach of the Year something. Maybe Nick Bosa needs something too. But you're right. Defensive Player of the Year. He may get some MVP votes now that it's expanded to 5. I may have had him as 5th, frankly, on my 1 through 5.
3
list of MVP candidates, but he's another one. You keep these guys healthy, and I said this yesterday, and I don't want to jinx anybody, but it's one thing for them to be healthy when the game starts. They got to be there when the game ends, and the way these guys play, it's particularly relevant to the 49ers. They jump out of bed and run through a wall. They play without hesitation. They have compiled, and it's been a great balance between Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, because I think John Lynch has a knack for finding guys who were wired like he was. And in an age where there's limited tackling to the ground in practice, limited padded practices, you need guys who are at any given moment ready to go. And they have an endless selection of guys who at any given moment are ready to go. The problem is you get injured if you're too ready to go. Sometimes the wall wins. That's the problem. So if they can keep these guys healthy all game long, Nick Bosa keeps going all game long, Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Eric Armstead, who's looked spectacular now that he's back in the fold healthy again. It's just going to be too much for the Cowboys. I know we want to have a great game, and it's going to be a huge audience, whatever the final score. It's going to be 40 to 50 million people tuning in Sunday night. Look at what the Cowboys drew on Monday against the Bucs. I mean, this is a real game. It should be a great game. We want a great game. We want it to come down to the wire. I just think the 49ers, if they keep doing what they've done all year, it's going to be very difficult for the Cowboys to keep up with them. So just keep being who you've been, 49ers, and you'll win this game. Doesn't matter that it's the Cowboys. Doesn't matter who it is. The 49ers, right now, in my view, the best team in the NFL. They keep it together. Yeah. They're going to keep winning and ultimately win their first Super Bowl since 1994. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.